Hello. We have a lot to learn today. All right, today we're going to learn about increment and decrement operators. We're going to learn about assignment operators. We're going to learn about a sentinel value. And we're going to learn how to execute a while loop, which is something that's repeated until we want it to stop. So I have a program called Sentinal.java on Schoology that I want you to upload. Once you upload it, save it somewhere, compile it, make sure it works. Also on Schoology is the tester, Sentinel tester. As you see, all it does is it starts a Sentinel object called start. And then once I have a Sentinel object called start, I can use it to run program that is in Sentinel. So this is our tester. So Sentinel has no main method. All right, so stop the video, get everything uploaded, get everything compiled, make sure everything's fine. All right, so let's get started. All right, increment and decrement operators. Increment means it has some variable that we want to name, and we want this variable to go up, 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 up. All right? So there's a couple ways of doing it. A lot of times you want to keep track of how often something happens. You can call a variable anything you want. I typically call it count. Whatever. You can call it whatever you want. Just call it something that makes sense. So if you look at line 10, what's happening here is this is the original value of count. And we're going to set the original value of count to 0. Then every time it reaches this line of code, it takes the original value of count. It adds 1 to the original value of count. So 0 plus 1 is 1. And then it assigns 1 to that variable, which overwrites the previous value of count. So increments and decrements is always overwriting. Overwrite, overwrite, overwrite. And the last version, or last time it was edited or overwritten, is the final count. Now, if you want to go by twos, you just add 2, or add 3, or add 4, or add 5, whatever you want, all right? And it will just add those to count and then overwrite count. Now, there is a tricky way, a more simple way. You can add 1. The plus equals is equivalent, the same, functionally the same as adding 1 to count the old count and then updating count. So plus equals. And you can do that. The plus equals can be equal, it can be any number. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any number. So plus goes first and then the equal sign. And then it does the equivalent of taking the old value of count, adding 2 to it, and then replacing count with the new value. Now, there is an even slicker way of doing it, but it's only good for when you're going to increment by 1. It's count plus plus. Now, for those who are familiar with computers, when they originally developed the programming language called C, they improved it. So instead of, once the new version of C, instead of calling it C Rev 1, because it was the next version up, one version up, they decided to call the new language C++. So that's why the C++ has it, because it's kind of a little inside joke on adding 1. Decrement. Decrement is going down. You do the original value of count, and you subtract. And then it replaces the old version with a new version, and so on. And every time this is reached, it will go down by 1. This would be more like a countdown, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You can, this version, you can use any number you want. Now, a little bit slicker version, oops, this is an equal. All right, you do count minus equal, and there's a 1. So this is decrementing by 1, minus equal. You can use minus equal with any number. This could be 3, this could be 4, this could be 5. Now, an even slicker way of doing it, if you're going to decrement by 1 only, you can do minus minus. That will decrement it by 1. All right, so now let's do assignment operators. There's a whole list of them. We'll go over them. Okay, the equal is an assignment. You are assigning a value to a variable. So you read it from right to left. So the value that's in y is being assigned to x. And if we're talking about objects and not primitive data types, the object reference is being assigned. So now this new object x is pointing at the object that was y. So it doesn't actually transfer the primitive data type, it's transferring the memory image reference. All right, plus equal. Plus equal is an addition and then an assignment. However, when we're talking about strings, plus equal is a concatenation. All right? So if it's concatenation, and I spelled concatenation wrong, concatenation, it's taking that string and it's adding it on to another string. So if you want to just keep making a string longer, you do plus equals. Minus equals is back to arithmetic. This is subtraction and then assignment. And all the other math operators are the same. Star equal is multiplication, then assignment. / equals is division, then assignment. And you can see how you can do it shorthand. Division equal, multiplication equal. And then modulo equal. You do modulation, and then you assign it the remainder to whatever the x is. So these are used a lot. Make sure you understand them. All right, let's talk about a Sentinel value. All right, a Sentinel value is a value chosen by the user or the programmer that when entered and compared to a Boolean expression will cause the control statement to become false. Once a control statement is false, the loop will terminate. It's often used in loops that the number of times the loop is to run is known, is not known. So if you, it's important. A Sentinel value is typically used when you don't know how many times the user is going to use it. Later on, we're going to find out about a control structure that if we know we have a finite number of times we want it to run, what would be the most appropriate control statement? A Sentinel is used typically in a while loop. All right, so now let's talk about a while loop. A while loop. You can see line 36. This is the header. Don't forget, oops, what is that? No semicolon. Okay, so this is the end of part 1, and now we're going to start part 2.